Welcome, welcome, welcome. Ed Martin, great to be with you. Hope you had a great weekend. So much happening in this country. It's amazing, and we're here to cover a bunch of it. We'll have some great guests as always, but don't forget, go to proamericareport.com, proamericareport.com, and sign up for the daily email. It comes in your email box at 5 a.m. Pacific time, 8 a.m. East Coast time if you're listening, and pass it on to friends. Get them all involved because the daily email is what you need to know in a daily email. It includes a few articles that you want to see, a few points I want to make, and usually a clip from this program. But no matter what you need to know is where you want to go for the morning email. But now, I'll tell you what you need to know here on this program and walk you through something. It's very important. You're probably picking up on this, but I want to identify it. I prepared for the program and I thought, well, I really want to talk about immigration and the problem of illegal immigration, what's happening, what I'm seeing on that. And I thought that's important. And then I thought, well, I also want to talk about what I'm seeing in terms of the media. There's been a terrible, Meet the Press has done terrible lying to America. And I thought, I got to talk about it. And I just said, no, wait a second. I've got to get focused on what I really need you to know. What you need to know today is so important. And I'm going to tell you about it. Doesn't mean we're going to resolve it today. In fact, you're not going to see much on this, but I'm just telling you it's coming. You remember when I told you about the second Cold War, the China thing? We would start to hear everyone talking about it. That was months before everybody else caught up on what we were talking about. But here's what you need to know today. It's so important. I have been hearing this for a week or so, and over the weekend, it went to a sort of high crescendo, a loud crescendo, it escalated up, and that's this. Our schools are in trouble. Now, you say to yourself, well, what do you mean, Ed? I mean, our schools are in trouble. Is it just because Governor Newsom is being a nuisance? Is it because, what is it, the problem? Well, first of all, it's a pandemic. We have this pandemic that's hit us, right? The Wuhan virus. And there's all kinds of ways and reasons wish we could go back in time and change the dynamic. But we are where we are. And the simple fact is, it's going to be with us for a while. And the simple fact is, it's not just the flu. It's got other characteristics. It spreads more easily. Probably doesn't have much of a higher fatality rate, but it's got some problems associated with it. But kids don't get it. The kids don't seem to get sick too much, although every now and then you hear one of the kids get really sick, and it's terrifying. But the fact is that it's not going to be a factor for our kids. You're not going to get 100 kids in a school of 1,000 sick. The problem is the kids can carry it home to grandma and grandpa and mom and dad and neighbors and all, and we're going to live with that. But here's the problem with our schools. The media and the left the groups that want to damage this president and make it so that his economy, and our lives are upset, they're united in terrorizing us. So our schools, what you're hearing now from people is not, I'm glad to hear my teachers and my school system are going to go charging back, figure out how to do this. These are smart, talented people with lots of ideas. They're going to go for it. No, you're mostly hearing the school system saying, you can't make us teach your kids. We don't want to get sick. Over and over again, you hear that. Not everyone. Let me be clear. There's lots of great teachers out there, lots of people that love teaching as their sort of vocation. It's what they believe in their hearts that they're doing. But a lot of other people are just simply saying, we're going to be talking about how we're protecting ourselves. Now, again, here's my point. It doesn't matter why. What matters is the school systems are shutting down. And they're going to fail at their attempt to teach. They're not going to be able to do distance learning. They're not going to be able to do part-time well. I'm just describing what I can see coming. And the crisis for families is going to be absolutely catastrophic. It's going to be a profound crisis. And here's why. Many, many families, in fact, I don't know the numbers, but I'd probably say most, meaning more than 50%, have to have their family structure where the parents or parent can go to work. They're not capable of managing full-time stay-at-home students. And second, it's starting to stress out the people who are caring for their kids, loving on their kids. Usually it's mom, but not always. Could be grandma, could be grandpa, could be dad, could be mom and dad. But they're starting to say this is really bad for the kids. And what the left and the education establishment is doing is they're raising the hysteria quotient. So, you're getting these stories where 8-year-old children are going to be wearing a face mask all day, including a face shield. Well, how's that going to work? And the first time that somebody in October gets a bug, the common cold, and starts sneezing and coughing, what happens? Are they put on quarantine? Are they sent home? Is the school on quarantine? What's going to happen? My point here is that the media and the left is in cahoots to cause chaos. Now, that doesn't mean that I have all the solutions, nor do you, I'm sure. But it means that we ought to see what's coming, because this is going to cause a strain on us that's different than the first time around. The first time around, when we had to go distance learning, a lot of us thought it was not very good, not good enough. But we were kind of willing to say, well, this thing hit in, I don't know, April 1st or April 5th or whatever, whatever the magic date you want to say where it hit. And we just had to shut everything down, and it's, everybody's learning from it. So, we were all, even if we were frustrated, less judgmental because it was so dramatic. Now, it feels like we've had months and months and months to get ready, and nobody's going to be ready. Nobody's going to be ready. And when I tell you this, it's not that we should be depressed. We shouldn't be depressed. We should be excited. We should be optimistic. We should be thinking and figuring out what to do and how to do it. But we shouldn't be sugarcoating it. We're being set up as a society by the teachers union, the establishment of the education establishment, and the media for a real crisis. And it's going to be a crisis of our reality, and it's going to be a crisis of our mind. Because they're trying to crush our spirits. They really are. They may not sit there and say, I want to crush their spirits, but what they're doing will be crushing on our spirits. And when it comes to kids, people get hot. People get upset, right? You don't get, if you're jerking me around over something, my work or my travel or, something, it bothers me and I get upset, and so do other people. But if you start messing with people's kids, it's going to get really choppy really fast. It's going to get really ugly really fast. Now, a couple things. One is, right now, they're negotiating some sort of spending bill up on Capitol Hill that is supposed to be, helping people that are stuck and helping some businesses. Included in that is some school choice money, some money that could be used to get people out of the school systems they're trapped in. I don't believe it will be enough, but it'll be a start. It'll be something that sends a signal, a positive signal, in a way that's probably helpful, and I think that's going to be a good thing. It'll also be really smart that it's coming out now. People will feel better about it, and I think the reality is we don't know what's coming yet. And here's what I want to say about it is, if we start talking about it and saying how we don't want it to go bad, how we don't want it to be so terrible, we can start to change the dynamic and maybe make people adjust, right? And get our schools saying, no, we're going to go figure it out. We're going to figure it out. We're going to adjust and figure it out. We're just going to get there. Right? Or we're going to carve out spaces, because one of the problems I see is that what happens when a school district like LA and San Diego and Fairfax County, Virginia, where I live now, when they start to come up with their decisions, other school districts fall in behind them. And then the policymakers want to force private schools into the same kind of thing. So you're hearing that Newsom may have rules for private schools because he can regulate any gathering over X amount of people. My point is, if you're going to carve out the private schools, carve out private settings, let people get free and make the decisions for themselves, I think that's the right move. So what you need to know today is schools and our kids are at the heart of what you should see as a deeply threatening, deeply unfair, and scary situation. Now, later on in the program, I've changed this up. I do what you need to know, the wink, the daily wink. And then at the end of the show, I do what you need to do. What you need to do. Today is a very different. It's not exactly related to this topic only, but it is in a sense. If you go to phyllisschlafly.com, that's my website for my organization, the Phyllis Schlafly Eagles, phyllisschlafly.com/Congress. You will see it's a service of the U.S. Congress. You can put in your zip code and you can identify who your congressman is. What you need to do today, just one thing, go there, enter your zip code, and find out who your congressman is. Just do that. Find out who it is, he or she, who represents you, member of Congress, because we got to see if those people are any good, and we need to know if they have to be replaced. So do that, okay? All right, we're going to take a break. We'll come back. We got great guests. It's Ed Martin here on the Pro America Report. Be back in a moment.